Welcome to Golden Bachelor. If you love celebrity news and real entertainment updates, you're in the right place. Some love stories don't begin with fireworks. They begin with a quiet moment, a nervous smile, and a feeling you can't quite explain. That's how this one started. Not with certainty, not with perfection, but with hope. When Trista stepped into this journey, she wasn't chasing fantasy. She was searching for something real, something steady, something that could last beyond the cameras, the roses, and the final applause. She carried herself with grace, vulnerability, and just enough humor to remind everyone that love doesn't have to be serious all the time. And then there was Ryan. From the very beginning, he felt different. Calm where others were loud, grounded where others tried too hard. He didn't rush to impress. He didn't compete for attention. Instead, he showed up as himself, honest, thoughtful, and quietly confident, the kind of presence that doesn't demand the room, but slowly becomes the center of it. Their first interactions weren't dramatic, but they were magnetic. Conversations flowed easily, sprinkled with laughter and comfortable pauses. Those pauses mattered. They weren't awkward. They were safe. The kind that tells you both people are listening, not just waiting to speak. As days passed, something undeniable began to grow. Not just chemistry, but connection. The kind built on shared values, mutual respect, and the feeling that life might be easier together than apart. Trista's smile around Ryan changed subtly. It lingered longer. It softened. And Ryan, usually reserved, began to open up more, revealing a playful side that surprised even himself. There was humor in their dynamic, too, light teasing, gentle jokes, and moments that felt less like a television show and more like two people figuring each other out in real time. It was charming, it was refreshing, and most importantly, it felt real. While others tried to impress Trista with grand gestures, Ryan impressed her with consistency. He listened. He remembered small details. He showed care not through speeches, but through presence. Sometimes romance isn't about saying the perfect thing. It's about being there when words aren't necessary. As emotions deepened, so did the challenges. Doubt crept in, as it always does when something meaningful is at stake. Trista wrestled with big decisions, knowing that choosing one path meant letting go of others. It wasn't easy. Love rarely is. Ryan faced his own uncertainties, too. Opening your heart is risky. It means accepting the possibility of loss. Yet he leaned in anyway, choosing honesty over fear. That courage spoke volumes. Their connection wasn't loud, but it was steady. And in a world full of noise, that steadiness stood out. It became clear that what they were building wasn't just about romance, it was about partnership. When the moment finally came for Trista to follow her heart, it felt less like a surprise and more like a natural conclusion to a journey that had been unfolding quietly all along. The choice made sense, not because it was dramatic, but because it was true. Ryan's reaction said everything. There was joy, relief, disbelief, and pure emotion all at once. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't polished. It was real. Two people standing at the edge of something new, choosing each other without guarantees. But the story didn't end there. In many ways, that was only the beginning. Their life together moved forward not as a fairy tale frozen in time, but as a living, breathing partnership. They embraced change, faced challenges, and grew side by side. They chose commitment not just once, but every day that followed. What made their love story special wasn't perfection, it was effort. It was laughter during hard moments. It was patience when things didn't go as planned. It was choosing kindness, even when it would have been easier not to. There's something deeply romantic about that kind of love. Not flashy, not flawless, but faithful. The kind that shows up in everyday moments. Morning coffee, shared jokes, quiet support when the world feels heavy.
They built a life grounded in values rather than expectations. Away from constant spotlight, they found joy in simplicity, nature, family, togetherness. And somehow, that made their story even more magical. Years passed, and while many reality TV romances faded, theirs endured. Not because they tried to prove anything, but because they protected what mattered. They let their love evolve, change shape, and deepen over time. There's humor in imagining how it all began, two people meeting under unusual circumstances, unsure of where it would lead. And yet, here they are, a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected beginnings lead to the most lasting endings. Their story resonates because it feels achievable. It tells us that love doesn't require perfection, just commitment. That romance doesn't disappear with time, it transforms. That laughter and respect can coexist beautifully. In a world that rushes love, their journey reminds us to slow down, to listen, to choose authenticity over performance, to believe that quiet connections can be the strongest of all. And maybe that's why people keep returning to this story, not just to relive the romance, but to feel hope again. Hope that love can be kind, hope that it can last, hope that fairy tales don't always end, they sometimes grow. If this story made you smile or reminded you of someone special, hold on to that feeling. Share it. Let it inspire you. Because real love stories aren't about grand moments alone. They're about the everyday choice to stay, to care, and to grow together. And this one is proof that sometimes love truly does find a way, quietly, patiently.
As their life together unfolded, what became most striking wasn't the big moments everyone expected. It was the small ones no one saw. Love, for Trista and Ryan, settled into a rhythm that felt both comforting and alive. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't staged. It was built slowly, like a favorite song you don't realize you love until you've played it 100 times. They learned each other's habits, who woke up first, who needed coffee before conversation, who laughed hardest at the simplest jokes. These details, often overlooked, became the foundation of something lasting. Romance didn't fade, it matured. It became softer, deeper, and somehow stronger. There was playfulness, too, a lot of it. Ryan's dry humor found its perfect match in Trista's expressive laughter. They teased each other in that gentle way that only works when trust is strong. The kind of teasing that says, "I see you completely, and I still choose you." Life, of course, wasn't always smooth. Like every real relationship, they faced moments that tested patience and understanding. Differences surfaced. Challenges arrived uninvited. But instead of turning away, they leaned in. They talked things through. They listened. And when words failed, they chose empathy. That choice to listen rather than react became one of their greatest strengths. It allowed them to grow not just as partners, but as individuals. They didn't try to change each other. They made space for growth, knowing that love isn't about staying the same forever, but about evolving together. What made their relationship so endearing to those watching from afar was how grounded it felt. There was no constant need for attention or validation. Their happiness didn't depend on applause. It lived in private moments, shared smiles, and quiet understanding. Over time, their love story became less about how it started and more about how it continued. It became a reminder that commitment isn't a single decision. It's a series of small choices made every day. Choosing kindness over pride, choosing patience over frustration, choosing humor when things feel heavy. And they did laugh, a lot, at themselves, at life, at the unpredictability of it all. Laughter became their secret weapon, a way to release tension and reconnect even on difficult days. There's something incredibly romantic about being able to laugh with the person who knows you best. They also learned the art of balance. When one felt overwhelmed, the other stepped in.
When one needed space, the other understood. That mutual respect created a partnership where both felt supported without feeling confined. As the years passed, their story quietly inspired others, not through dramatic declarations, but through consistency, through showing that love can be steady without being boring, passionate without being chaotic, and deep without being complicated. People often talk about fairy tales as if they're fragile things destined to fade once reality arrives. But Trista and Ryan proved something different, that fairy tales don't disappear when real life begins. They transform. They trade castles for kitchens, ballrooms for backyards, and magic spells for shared effort. And somehow, that version feels even more enchanting. Their journey became a celebration of ordinary moments made special simply because they were shared. Morning routines, long conversations, comfortable silences. These were the scenes where their love truly lived. There's a quiet romance in knowing someone so well that words aren't always needed, in recognizing a look, a tone, a pause, in understanding that love doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. What makes their story linger in people's hearts is that it feels possible. It doesn't promise perfection. It doesn't ignore hardship. It simply shows that with mutual respect, humor, and genuine care, love can last. And maybe that's the most exciting part of all. Not the beginning, not the grand gestures, but the everyday commitment to choosing each other again and again. So when people revisit this love story, they aren't just looking back, they're looking forward. Forward to the hope that connection can be real, that love can be kind, that happiness doesn't have to shout to be heard. Because in the end, the most beautiful love stories aren't the ones that burn brightest for a moment. They're the ones that glow steadily, lighting the way for years to come. And this one? It's still glowing. Thanks for watching Golden Bachelor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next big story.